Kavisha, how are you doing?
Hi, Prashant. I'm all well. How are you?
Pretty well. Thanks for joining us for this chat, and congratulations for graduating through the prestigious ISB PGPpro program. So you are an engineer and you already worked in a business role. So let's begin by understanding your work profile before you apply to ISB and your motivation to apply to the PGPpro program.
So, I call my journey with Disney a very fortunate stint because being an engineer with literally no management experience, I started off working in a business role. My role primarily when I joined was that of a trainee, where I was managing e-commerce channel sales. But slowly within the company, I graduated to managing categories or category licensing, which means giving out the license of the Disney characters to a lot of companies.
Okay.
While the role was progressing for me, but beyond a point, I felt that it was just limiting me to the B2B segment. Licensing as an industry is also a very fixated industry. It does not have a lot of growth opportunities. And I really felt the need to take on larger roles outside of the organization. I was very clear that I wanted to get into the category management space. And that's when the need of the MBA really struck. E-commerce was also an upcoming industry, so category management and within e-commerce was the right choice. But for that, I needed to upgrade myself into skills like managing a P&L, financial accounting, operations management, and all of this were the areas I wanted to build. So that's where I really felt the need to do an MBA.
Interesting. So a bit of career enhancement and a bit of career transition is what you were looking for.
That's right.
Right, and it's interesting because there's an increasing trend of mid-career professionals who may already be doing well. They're really now keen to enhance their skills and progress in their career through one of these executive programs. And ISB PGPpro is clearly the best out there. So tell us more about the program. How is it structured? What is the format, and who is it meant for?
The PGPpro is an 18-month executive MBA program. It has about 24 core courses, and the core courses are designed in a way that's very similar to the PGP format. It's currently being offered in 4 cities: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. The beauty of the program is that it allows you to be in your own environment. So you continue to maintain your family and work life, and at the same time get this opportunity to upgrade yourself with the right management tools and techniques. Doing it from ISB was also a natural choice for me because it's one of those institutes which has got the world-class faculty. Plus, it's also very research focused. So you get to apply everything that you learn in class. So it's the most practical forms of the program, that everything that you learn in class, you immediately apply at work.
Right, and like you mentioned, you get to apply a lot that you learn in the class, as well as because all the PGPpro participants are working at the time of pursuing the program. So did you feel that you could go back and apply the same to your work environment as well?
Yes, so the transformation happens slowly, and most of the times you yourself will not realize, but people around you will. It was interesting that within 6 months of the program, and I could actually see my peers within the organization talk about the changes that they observed in the way I was talking. So simple things like, for me, one of the biggest challenges that I was facing was Disney was an organization where we had people with extremely rich experiences plus degrees from top-notch B schools. And somewhere I constantly felt that pressure. And I felt that underconfidence while speaking to people in my and I was not able to contribute that well in the beginning. But slowly with the MBA, it empowered me in many ways. Plus the right knowledge and techniques sort of helped me gain that confidence to contribute better. And that was clearly a transformation that many people observed within the organization. So the critical factor is that you accept the change within you. Probably you won't realize or comprehend it in the beginning, but slowly it reflects in the way you talk eventually.
Agree. And of course, the fact that you were able to apply these learnings at Disney, but then it also helped you transition from Disney to a brand manager role at Nykaa. So it's not just your transformation within the organization, but even externally in your professional career.
That's right.
Right. And it's interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying Nykaa happened straight out of ISB, and what really has helped me crack the role at Nykaa was the ability to justify the skills that I garnered during the program. Naturally, it was a transition from B2B to B2C. A lot of things that a B2C environment expects, like you would say, managing a P&L, having more financial accountability versus B2B, which is more about relationship and stakeholder management. Things change in the B2C segment, and you're able to justify it at the back of the skills that you acquired during this program.
Very much. And you talked about your colleagues at Disney and how accomplished they were, and of course the rich peer group at ISB. So clearly, peer learning is an important component of whichever ecosystem or the environment we are a part of. How is the peer group at the ISB PGPpro program, and tell us how you feel it probably opened a different world to you.
Right. So when it comes to class diversity, I think ISB is one of those institutes that's synonymous with promoting class diversity. From having the right male to female ratio, it also strongly focuses on students with really diverse backgrounds. So in my class, I had a radio jockey, I had a doctor, I had an artist, and I also had a commander from the Indian Navy. So what diversity really does is it brings in a lot of new perspectives into the way you think. And also you would be doing a lot of these group studies within class. So every case study will have like multiple approaches which you would have never thought about. So that's the real beauty about ISB and the class diversity. Plus also lifelong friendships. I think I've gained a lot from every person in the class, from our very discussions. Plus I would have never got this perspective otherwise in my natural environment or at work.
Completely agree. And I personally believe that the biggest takeaway from an MBA program, which generally most of the good programs boast good diversity in the class, is the network that you take away and the lifelong friendships that you talked about.
Absolutely true.
Agree. And clearly it's a competitive program. You talked about having an RJ in the class, a Navy officer. So it's a competitive program with such diverse people applying. We would love to learn more about your approach to the application, because there is a process to apply and then there's the interview. So how did you approach your application per se, and what were the key areas that you focused on?
It was a long process. I actually parked aside 3 months of my time to build the application. The deadlines are definitely supposed to be kept in check when you plan your application, which is a given. But at the same time, what you need to do is a lot of pre-work in getting in touch with the right people. I took the decision of doing the PGP Pro when this program was relatively new. In fact, we were the first batch from Mumbai. But I made sure that I got in touch with the right people, that is people within the ISB network, and the right kind of admission consulting agencies that will help guide you to build a strong application. In my case, I also had to put in a lot of work to build not just build the essays, but also get in touch with the right people within my organization for the recommendations. I personally, knew the country manager at Disney India, who was one of one of the people who gave me the recommendation. So a lot of work goes within and inside of your organization, plus outside that you will, plus getting in touch with the right people at ISB who helped me hone my essays. So long process, plus I put in a lot of focus on the career growth, and every point in my application talked about the need to do an MBA, which was very, very critical. I talked about my achievements plus my academic credentials, which were strong enough to reflect that I was capable to take up next level things.
Amazing. I mean, so two things which I clearly hear are, one, there was a lot of research or pre-work that you did, because that's something that a lot of applicants take lightly. They just think, okay, one fine week or day, you can sit and write the essay that's asked. But then to actually write something, you need to have done a lot of research about the program to, of course, be confident that this is the right program for you, but also to be able to present, so when I say research, within your own organization, to understand your organization, understand your role better, so that you talked about career growth and how your role with the program can take you there.
It is a lot of responsibility. So every applicant, my advice would be to really take your application seriously and take enough time to get in touch with the right people to build a strong application. And
right.
Obviously, the learning responsibility in the program will again be yours, but the beginning of it has to be done with a lot of seriousness. And that reflects in the way you write the application.
Very much. I mean, like you said, it's a big decision and it's a big investment. So it has to be well researched and it has to be well timed in terms of how much time you put in your own application, because, you mentioned you started your application almost 2 to 3 months in advance. And that allows you to not rush into your application and put in the right amount of research. Otherwise, you may want to do all the research, but you won't have all the resources at your disposal when you want. So time and giving it good time is very important. So I think this is some advice applicants will benefit a lot from. Thanks for that. And clearly you made it to ISB, so you were invited for the interview. And ISB interviews are generally known to be conversational friendly. But how was your experience? Who were the interviewers? What did they focus on? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so you're right. It was actually very conversational and friendly. So I'll tell you my story. I got the interview call a couple of days before it was scheduled. So you naturally won't have a lot of time to prepare for the interview. It would be as soon as you're selected, you would naturally get a scheduled interview call in 2 to 3 days. Fortunately, I was in Bhutan when I received the call. So I asked them to reschedule the interview. But it happened in, again, 2 days once I was back. The style was very conversational. We spoke about things that I do within Disney. But at the same time, they did pick out a critical thing. They were smart enough to pick out one of the critical areas and mention to me how my approach to that would be. Essentially to see how problem solving the applicant is. Yes, do focus a lot. My advice to the applicants would be that you must focus on your need to do the MBA, the things that you have been doing and how you would like to do things differently in the upcoming years with your MBA degree. And these 3 areas, if you have the right answers, things would eventually fall in place.
Right. And if you could talk more about the interviewer profile and, if there were 2 interviewers, 3 interviewers.
The interviewers are actually alums, I failed to mention. They were actually alums from the PGPpro batch itself. So either it would be PGP or PGPpro, but they would essentially be alums.
Okay, so there are people who know ISB, and then you clearly when you talk to them and when you have done the right research, they appreciate that.
That's right.
Amazing. Good. I mean, I'm sure you had a great experience through the entire program. You made some good friends, but an entire back to school experience is so overwhelming at times. But when you look back, what is your fondest memory from the program?
A lot of memories, and it's very difficult to pick out one. But I would say when we actually went to class again during equinox. So the ISB has these 2 events, right? Solstice and equinox, that happens in the Mohali and Hyderabad campuses. And we had the opportunity to visit one of them. So the environment itself is so much fun, as you not just have external industry speakers come to the event, talk and share their experiences. You get to interact with the PGP as well as PGPpro classmates. A lot of networking happens, plus partying happens. A Along with that, we also, within our classmates also planned a trip. So I would say that was my fondest memory of, it would have been the international immersion, Prashant, but that unfortunately happened online for us. But a lot of these class interactions and campus visits that you would do will be super memorable.
So in principle, all the time you spend with your friends are the most memorable.
Yeah, I don't think you would get this opportunity again in life, or being able to go back to school and cherish these carefree days in class. Plus, at the same time, be with your family. And also like continue to do your work. It's one of those programs that also helps to give you a faster ROI, I feel, as compared to other MBA programs, as you don't miss out on that 18 months of working, which you would have done in a full-time MBA course. So it's a best. I feel, when I received the brochure of this program, it felt like a godsend program to me. Extremely tailor-made for someone who was not willing to move out of an organization which they have been doing well in, but at the same time upgrade themselves with the right education.
Right. That's a very critical point that you make, that, the opportunity cost is not so high, because you don't have to leave the program leave your work, versus when you take up a full-time program and then you have to lose the salary that you would earn, and that's often not a part of the calculation for many applicants. So it's a very important point that you made, and of course some great advice that you gave to applicants. So clearly ISB PGPpro has emerged as one of the most competitive programs out there, for applicants who are looking for an executive MBA. So before we close our conversation, beyond all the advice that you've already given, what would you say is your most important advice to future applicants?
My advice to the future applicants would be that, know your reasons why you want to do an MBA, because a lot of people reach out to me, they mention the fact that they want to do an MBA, but probably not invest so much, considering the ISB programs are relatively on the expensive side. But I would say it's never, you are making this investment for yourself, which you will be taking, which probably will be there with you for life. And most of the times, we only calculate things which are physical, but don't really realize what value that we're bringing to ourselves by investing this amount of money. So know your reasons why you want to do an MBA, as you're going to be, not making foundational changes to your life. And if you're prepared for that, then this is the right choice that you would be making. Also, while someone's building an application, like we mentioned, they need to put in enough time how they would want to build the application. When you're talking about work, one needs to present good examples related to work, instead of just touching upon the quality superficially. Give examples of how certain projects were handled, and also talk about your experiences beyond just the application. These are a few points that immediately come to my mind. And also during the interview, I often give this tip that one needs to be talking about stories rather than just statements. So stories are more credible than statements. So when you're asked to give an example of how you've handled the situation, detail out a story. And instead of just merely saying that I did this, I did that, it needs to be more elaborative, and that's when it becomes more credible to the interview as well.
Yeah. So if I were to summarize that, I hear two things. One, calculate ROI not for the next 2 years, but 20 years, and look at both tangible and intangible returns. And probably what you are trying to say about the application interview is be detail oriented. Talk about your stories, talk about go further into your achievements, instead of just making superficial statements.
Right. And lastly, I would say it's never too late. Just as my parting statement would be, I started off and I actually felt really late in my career. Though being the youngest in my classroom, I come from a background where I felt I I was late to take up like certain career decisions, but it's never too late to really take that leap of faith to do things for yourself, and it's for every person out there. You're never too late to do an MBA ever.
Amazing. And also you mentioned that you were among the youngest in the class, and probably, for all the graduates of the PGPpro program, you'd still stand among the youngest to graduate through the program. And what was the experience of the oldest person in the class? Was it like 15 years, 20 years? What was that?
Everyone was on an average 11 years older to me. So the oldest person in my class was close to 52. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's great diversity to learn from. Good. I think that's amazing input and a lot of good advice to applicants, a lot of good insights about the program. Thank you so much. We will benefit, and the audience, everyone will benefit from this conversation. But thanks again for all your insights, and wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you, Prashant. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you.